Here we are, guys. I sold a bunch of items over the weekend. It is Monday, um, December 2nd. Can you believe it? It's December 2024. And I sold a bunch of stuff on eBay over the weekend. And I sold five Amazon items on Amazon and 17 items on eBay. So I'll dive into a little bit more of what I sold, but I wanted to talk about this particular DVD here, which I bought on the 25th, which was last month, so today's the 2nd, and this sold, I think it sold yesterday, Sunday, could have sold Saturday, but it basically took about five days to sell. And I bought this in a thrift store. So I went, well, it doesn't really matter, but I went to a thrift store when I had a little bit of time. Um, and I had, as you know, if you watch my channel for a while, I don't usually go to thrift stores. I don't go any regularly these days. I used to go all the time when I first started. And I was even going up until April of this year for like a year and a half. I was going twice a week. Um, and then for a while I was going once a week to a different one. Anyway, so when I do go, I like to talk about it just because I don't spend that much time when I go, and I like to talk about what I find. If I do find anything when I'm there. So this is an example of going for about, I think it was like 40 minutes or so, up until they closed at 7 o'clock. And I found this DVD, which if you saw it, so of course it wasn't like this. It was only the spine. It's in Spanish. El Prieto, el Caballo, y el Panzón. So it's in Spanish. It was like this. The spine was showing. Of course, there's a ton of other DVDs around it. This store has hundreds of DVDs. They have a lot, and most of them are no good for reselling online. But I saw this one, and it stood out to me because it's in Spanish. Also, it's kind of cool looking font and colors. Yellow against the red, or the blue against the yellow. This little drawings here, and then when I looked on the front, it looks silly. It looked different. The fact that there's 8 movies, and they look kind of like they're slapsticky, silly movies. There's 3 DVDs. When I looked it up, I don't even think when I scanned it that it actually showed anything. But I did some research and couldn't find it on eBay. I think I may have found it on Amazon, but due to the fact that it was hard to find any copies of it, and that that's a good sign. Also, just the way it is, it looks kind of silly. It looks different. Foreign language can do well sometimes. I've sold a lot of Spanish language DVDs as well as tons of CDs, Spanish language CDs. And it stood out to me. So I got this for, I'm pretty sure that I bought this for like less than $1. It was either 75 cents. Yeah, it was around there. It was like, I think 75 cents, maybe $1 at most. And I was able to sell. So I initially thought I would list it for $30, $29.99, but I actually bumped that up to $39.99 plus shipping, taking offers, and someone offered me $30 for it. So I took the offer, considering I spent less than $1 on it, a buck or less, and it sold within 5 days. So this is really, I like to share these examples with you because it's fun, number one, but also just to show you the types of things that when I walk into a thrift store that I see and that I pull out and that I can sell pretty quickly. It just so happens that just like that PS4 game that, what was it? Skylanders, I think it was called. Trap Team, I think, if I remember correctly, that I found for $2 and sold it for $60. This is another example of something you can find quickly and flip it really fast as well. Get really inexpensively and flip it fast. So just keep your eyes open for different types of stuff like this when you're out there. It doesn't have to be a thrift store. It can be anywhere, wherever you source, right? Even if you're getting in bulk, look for the different stuff. Look for the items that stand out, that seem different and unlike other stuff that you come across. I sold this Scholastic Audio CD lot. I took an offer of $25 plus shipping. Sold really quick. This came, if you remember, in my store, I had a bunch of these stacked up, along with all the other CDs I had stacked up. These came from those 5 Gaylords of CDs. I knew I would find more, and I ended up getting 16 together. So 16 of these for $25 plus shipping. You can get good money for them if you get even more together. There's some that are actually worth money individually. This one I just sold for like $9, free shipping. It's an older one that it's signed, but it's an older one that's been sitting for a while. This actually sold. This is one of the most recent ones that sold. It's signed. And then this is a Toby Keith CD lot. All these CDs came from those Gaylords, those pallets. There's 11 Toby Keith CDs, all different titles, and I sold it for $24.99 plus shipping. So as I talked about, the CD lots will be, they're going to consistently sell, and I didn't get a ton of sales off these initially, but the sales are coming in, and over time I should sell most of them. So $25, and again, it's just Toby Keith, right? A really well-known big country music singer. And if you get enough together from one artist or one group, you can typically sell those for decent money. And then I sold all of these individual items. I sold this CD, this was from a local buy all the way back in April. Sold it for $10 plus shipping. This is one from those 10 boxes of CDs that were donated to me. Another example of a foreign language soundtrack CD that you should look out for. Guys, this is a perfect example of something. If you're in the store, in the thrift store, wherever you are, if you're at the library book sale, if you're at a garage sale, an estate sale, and you see something like this, it should stand out to you. This should absolutely stand out to you. Look how cool it looks, how different, how unique. And this one sold for $31.49 plus shipping. It's more of a long tail, but I'll take a $31 long tail sale any day of the week. The Shaft, this is a sealed DVD. It sold for $23.09 plus shipping. This is for, I think it's foreign language. There it is. Oh, it's from China. So it's a Mandarin with subtitles in English. This came from a big DVD buy that I made before the summer that I keep telling you about. I keep selling those. This is a signed first edition of The Dark Beyond the Stars by Frank Robinson. Hardcover. In great shape. This sold for $18.89 plus shipping. So that was a good one. Harry Turtledove. This is signed first edition. It sold for $31.49. Mosul is not sealed, but this DVD was from that same big DVD buy that I made back in, I believe it was May, for $75, and this one sold for $19.24. So I keep selling DVDs from that. That's a good one. Look out for that. I think it's a documentary. Yeah, I believe so. And this one is the Wimbledon Video Collection, sold for $12.59. This has been listed for quite a long time. This came from a Gaylord from a few years ago. I wouldn't list this one again, but it sold. And this one only sold for, this one sold for $18.90 plus shipping. Excuse me. Crazy Horse and Oyster. And then Conqueror's Pride first edition sold for $11.33 free shipping. This is when I was listing stuff free shipping, which I don't do anymore. That's not a book I would recommend listing. You Live and Learn. Philip Garrell ×2. I Can No Longer Hear the Guitar. Emergency Kisses. This is another one from a separate DVD buy that I made back in June, and that I made for $60. And this one sold for $10. There was hundreds of DVDs that I bought in there, and this was one of them. I took an offer. It had been listed, for like 5 months or so. So I said, I'll take the $10 offer. That's fine. Here's an interesting one. There's a tiny little book. This was a donation in August. I sold it for $19.99 plus shipping. This book is from 1952. It's part of a set, Our Daily Homily. And yeah, $19, $20 for it. Do your research, guys. High Sierra. This sold for $15.39. plus shipping. This is from my other bookstore. This was just sitting on the shelf, pulled it off, listed it, and it sold. And then lastly, I sold these bunch of Spanish language books about Cervantes or Don Quixote de la Mancha. There's 7 or 8 of them. It's from a set. This was donated to me from a longtime customer who's donated a lot of books. And I had it listed for less than that, like $80, something like that. I took a $40 offer. I was happy to do it. It's been sitting since I don't know if I have the date, since June. So I was glad to make $40 off of it and get it out of there. It's a cool set. So that's everything except for the Amazon stuff. A couple of books, some CDs, but those didn't sell for very much. But nonetheless, still made some Amazon sales. So learn from what you're selling and what you're not selling so that you can make better decisions about what you buy in the future. And you can buy stuff like this. Just walk in the thrift store or wherever you're sourcing. Find stuff pretty quickly. When I look at all the DVDs, I can, just by looking at the spines, I can tell that like 95%, if not even higher, 98, 97%, a very high percentage are not worth even pulling off of the shelf. I think I only pulled off maybe a dozen or so to even look up, and this was one of them. Yeah, so just get better at spending your time only looking up the items that are worth looking up. And it takes time. There's a learning curve. It could take 3 months, 6 months, a year. But when you get to the point to where you really have seen a lot of, so for DVDs, you end up, if you've been selling them for a while, you end up that you've seen most of them. You know, the main, like the mainstream stuff. You've seen it over and over again, so that when you come across something like this, you can pick it out of the needle in the haystack. There's 500 DVDs, and you only are going to look up, let's say, 50 of them, because the rest of them you already know they're not worth anything individually, right, to sell online. So just get better and better at that, and that really takes time. It takes selling stuff, not selling stuff, finding out how long certain things sell, and then you get a better idea. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.